Welcome. This video is brought to you by Dr. Irvin Menlowitz and the Voices of the Descendants, Stories from the 1900 Storm. Dr. Irvin Menlowitz is the author of Galveston 1900, A Story of Twin Flames.
Built at a cost of $1 million, the Hotel Galvez opened on June 10, 1911. The hotel was the first fireproof building in Galveston and was constructed of concrete. It served as a replacement to the Beach Hotel, which had burned down in 1898. In the surf in front of the Beach Hotel were two magnificent bathhouses, where bathers would change from their formal attire into swimsuits before entering the inviting waters of the Gulf. These bathhouses were pagodas and Murdochs. The latter, which even had a restaurant called the Bon Ton, which referred to high society. The restaurant was located on the top floor. The Galvez, as was the city itself, was named after Bernardo Galvez, a Spanish military leader who served in the late 1700s as colonial governor of Cuba and Louisiana. He aided the 13 colonies in their quest for independence and actually led forces that defeated the British during the Revolutionary War Battle of Pensacola. After the Revolution, he was recognized by the American Congress and even rode to the right side of George Washington during the parade of July 4th. The hurricane of 1900 represented a seminal event in the history of the city, turning Galveston from a city with so much prominence and promise into one with a very uncertain future. Rebuilding Galveston would include a great seawall that would protect the city. In a feat of marvelous engineering using horse and manpower, more than 2,000 buildings were raised, some as high as 20 feet above the previous sea level. Dredges, which transported sand from the ship channel, were then used to build up the landmass of the island. In a bid to lure tourists back to the devastated city, Pleasure Pier Electric Park, an amusement venue located on Seawall Boulevard very close to the Galvez Hotel, opened in 1906 with free admission. Electric Park was an effort to make Galveston known as the Coney Island of the South. Electric trolleys transported visitors from other parts of the city to Electric Park. The park featured a bandstand for concerts, an aerial swing 50 feet high, the figure-8 roller coaster, a Ferris wheel, carousel, shooting galleries, the Cave of Winds, which was a ride where visitors would descend into an area in which strong wind gusts blew around them, and Hale's Tour of the World, a theater with an early form of motion picture. The evening was capped by a spectacular fireworks show. By the fall of 1909, the construction of the seawall necessitated that most of the park be demolished. The remaining attractions, including the carousel, were demolished by the 1915 storm. The storm hit Galveston on August 16 and pounded the city for 153 hours. The maximum wind velocity was estimated to be 120 miles per hour. Downtown was flooded by up to 6 feet of water. Although the seawall held the brunt of the storm at bay, 90% of all houses outside the seawall were destroyed. On the harbor side, every ship was damaged. Between 275 and 400 people lost their lives that day. An estimated $921 million in damage was inflicted upon the city. At the Galvez, local folklore says that guests at the hotel that night danced the night away while they drank champagne. Although the seawall's concrete surface deflected the massive waves brought on by the hurricane, the sea spray above the concrete walls was propelled back a good 2 city blocks against the 6-story Galvez Hotel with such a force that it shattered the windows on the top floors. After the Hotel Galvez was built in 1911 and after the 1915 hurricane, community leaders continued their quest to promote the city by organizing waterfront events including car racing on the beach. Although beauty contests had existed in the United States in the 19th century, they generally featured girls from the communities themselves. In 1920, city promoter C.E. Barfield organized an event called Splash Day, which kicked off the summer tourist season. Its central feature was the Bathing Girl Review competition, in which the contestants in swimsuits were paraded down a boulevard in carts pushed by an attendant. Attracting tourists from around the nation, Splash Day would more than triple the island's population from about 40,000 to about 120,000 on the weekend it ran. Many of the contestants, as well as many of the organizers themselves, stayed at the Galvez Hotel. The International Pageant of Pulchritude began in 1926 and was a beauty contest that originated in Galveston. It featured contestants from multiple nations and has the distinction of not only being the first international contest, but as serving as a model for all modern contests, including the Miss Universe pageant. It has been estimated that around 160,000 people watched the bathing costume parade on the afternoon of May 16th. The winner was crowned Miss Universe, and she was awarded $2,000 in gold, about $30,000 today, as well as a silver plaque and a crown. Over the years, the Galvez has been host to a number of famous politicians and celebrities. These include Franklin D. Roosevelt in 1937, Dwight D. Eisenhower as general in 1949, Richard Nixon as vice president in 1955, and Lyndon B. Johnson as a senator in 1959. Among celebrities, the list includes Douglas Romway Corrigan, Duke Ellington, Sammy Davis Jr., Jack Benny, Peggy Lee, Howard Hughes, Douglas MacArthur, Frank Sinatra, Jerry Lewis, Dean Martin, and Jimmy Stewart. During World War II, the U.S. Coast Guard commandeered the hotel and used it as part of its wartime headquarters from 1942 to 1944. After the war, the Galvez again became an important destination for people who are participating in the local gambling industry through the 1940s and 1950s. When the Texas Rangers shut down this illegal industry in the mid-1950s, the local economy became depressed and the Galvez fell into disrepair. After a number of owners, the Galvez became a Marriott franchise in 1989. In 1995, Galveston native and real estate developer George P. Mitchell purchased the hotel and restored it to its 1911 historical look. In 1996, a management agreement granted operational control to Wyndham Hotel and Resorts. In 2008, the island was once again devastated by the major hurricane named Ike. The lower level of the hotel was completely flooded and the roof was damaged. Nonetheless, the Hotel Galvez remains today as a proud symbol of the past and a place for welcome and relaxation.
These photographs are from the most famous photographer from Galveston, Paul Verkin, featuring the Galvez Hotel. Some of his work includes pictures after the 1900 storm and normal, everyday life in Galveston. A collection of his art can be found in the Dolph Briscoe Center for American History at the University of Texas in Austin.